Hi, this is Jennifer Swati, and I'm going to be doing my school law case study. The first part of this case study is the problem identification and analysis, so looking at what do I know. From the information we were provided, we know that Roosevelt High School is in a very affluent area of the city, and the families of the students that attend Roosevelt High School have secure financial means. We also know that Dr. Forbes has been the principal there for 9 years and that he is well respected by the parents, and he works really hard to maintain the school's reputation. One way that he does that is by hiring highly qualified teachers. Miss Walker is a highly qualified teacher, one of the highly qualified teachers um, he has hired, and so the case study sort of centers around her classroom. There have been numerous parent complaints. We know this from the information provided about her stringent expectations in her classroom and the stress level of the students in her classroom. We know that with Miss Walker, Dr. Forbes has provided her with some strategies regarding ways to reduce the stress in her classroom, which she has so far been unsuccessful at implementing. We also know that there was a web page created which had some suggestive comments about her personal behavior. It had very critical comments on her instruction. There were curse words and foul language. And the very last question on the page was, who wants to see Miss Walker disappear? And another thing that we know about this web page is that a link was sent specifically with Miss Walker with intent for her to view it. We know that the students are feeling stressed and negative toward Miss Walker, and Miss Walker feels threatened and she's very fearful. And we also know that the parents are feeling concerned about their children not making passing grades in Miss Walker's class. So next we look at what do I need to know. Some of the things that I would like to know: what are the specific concerns students have with Miss Walker's class? For example, is it that she is having a lot of papers? Is it a lot of reading? Is it a lot of busy work? Are the tests very difficult? So those are some things I'd like to know, more specifics about the concerns with her classroom. And what has Dr. Forbes done so far to address the parent concerns? Has he just listened? Has he had them come in and specifically talk with Miss Walker? Kind of what has happened so far with that? What level of support did Dr. Forbes give Miss Walker in regards to the strategies he suggested to reduce student stress? Did he just give her a list of things she could do, or did he help her know how to implement a few strategies? I would also like to know, is there any way to identify who may have created the web page? And what is the school's cyberbullying policy? So that leads us then to identifying the problem, and I feel in this case there's kind of two issues that lead to a bigger issue. And one is that the students are not feeling successful in Miss Walker's class, and therefore they have pretty negative feelings towards her. And secondly, that Miss Walker has been unable to adapt to the needs of her students or building and is now feeling threatened because of the reaction that her students are having. So ultimately, I feel like this problem is a problem of environment. The environment is not conducive for student learning, and nor is it safe for Miss Walker at this point. So next we have to look at a plan of action and some strategies for implementation. First, I think it is so important to ensure the immediate safety of Miss Walker. I think the district would probably need to know about this, and it might not be a bad idea to just notify the police, just brief them on the situation so that they could be aware. Next, if it's possible, I think determining who created or where the website was created would be important. You could work with the district's information technology team to try and find the origin of the website and who may have created it. Then I think it would be important to meet with individual students involved if you had that information, and to really kind of follow through with the cyberbullying policies. It also may be helpful to discuss why they created that web page. And as a part of that, after that, I think it would be important to meet with all parties to discuss the concerns of the parents and the students individually, relay those concerns to Ms. Walker, and make sure that when you're relaying those concerns that you are supporting her and just ensuring that we want to make her classroom successful. There was a reason that she was hired. She's highly qualified, and you just want to make a better environment for everyone. Then I think it would be important to set some goals. You could work with Ms. Walker to implement some strategies that would really help. I would work pretty closely alongside her, and also maybe set some goals with the families of students in Ms. Walker's class. And finally, I would really monitor the progress with both the students and Ms. Walker to make sure if the plan is working or if it's not. Is there something else that could be done? Some of the strategies that we're using when doing this plan, I think, we're making people feel safe by ensuring the teachers are safe, the students are safe, because we're identifying any immediate threats, and it's important to have a safe environment to work in. Another strategy that I think that we're using is reviewing that internet policy, especially with regards to internet etiquette and cyberbullying, so that you can prevent further issues, but also address this big issue. Next, I think a strategy that we're using is listening to all parties involved. By listening to the concerns of the parents and the students and Ms. Walker, everyone is going to be feeling validated and like they have a voice in the situation, like their thoughts and feelings matter. And the fourth strategy is ultimately Dr. Forbes is trying to develop positive relationships between the students and their teachers, and also between his teachers and the leaders in the building. And having open and honest communication should help this. So next we have to kind of discuss our thoughts and our feelings and our values in this situation. When I first read the case study, things that I was, continually thinking about were the environment just doesn't feel like it's conducive for learning. If students are stressed all the time and they're having a difficult time communicating with their teacher, parents, building principal, it's just not a conducive environment for learning. Obviously, Ms. Walker does not feel safe, and she may actually need some more support is what I'm thinking, that she is a new teacher, and so maybe she just needs some more support on ways to make her classroom a more positive learning environment. And the students may need some support because it seems like they're very overwhelmed. I was feeling concerned for the safety of Ms. Walker and concerned for the students' kind of social emotional health and their mental health. It's never a good environment when students are constantly stressed. They're never going to learn as much, and they're certainly not going to enjoy learning. And the things that I was really valuing while reading this was just the safety of both the teachers and the students learning, and then ensuring that everyone had a chance to express their thoughts and their feelings. Things that I feel are probably still unresolved from this case study. I would like to know if the IT team was ever able to find the origin of the website or the results from any of that information. It would be nice to know how the strategies were, whether they were successful or unsuccessful, and parent reaction to those, to the plan and the process. And then I'd like to know if Ms. Walker did develop a more positive relationship with her students, and was she satisfied in her position? All of these changes may have, really impacted how she was satisfied within her teaching position. Further investigate policies and procedures for cyberbullying. It's obvious in this situation that there's an issue, and so maybe the policies need to be adjusted or changed a little bit. And then I do think it would be incredibly important to collect data on the progress with students to ensure that the plan was working or if it needed adjusted. So on category 5, promoting the success for all students by acting with integrity, fairness, and in an ethical manner. As far as acting with integrity, I think that by taking the time to listen to the concerns of all the parties involved, that Dr. Forbes would really be demonstrating that he cares for both staff and students, and that he has an openness to discussion regarding the education of students within his building. I also think he's showing integrity by working with the district IT department to gather information. That way he's really promoting the effective use of technology within his building. And another way that I think he's using integrity is by taking Miss Walker's concern seriously when she called him about the website. That's a way for him to really be developing an open and trusting and caring work relationship among his staff and the leaders. As far as fairness, I think by taking the time to listen to the concerns of all the parties involved, he's really demonstrating that he's trying to be fair. By working to develop and monitor strategies used in Ms. Walker's classroom, he's also trying to promote a safe and healthy environment, and Dr. Forbes would be using the data appropriately to improve the instruction. The data that he's collecting on those strategies would then be used to improve her instruction, which promotes fairness for all the students in her classroom. And lastly, for fairness, I think by choosing not to confront the one student that Ms. Walker did mention could have been a part of the website creation, but rather taking the approach of getting everyone's opinion and letting the IT team provide information, he would be treating each student with fairness. As far as acting ethically, by ensuring the safety of his staff and not just disregarding threats, he would be acting ethically in his professional decision making. By working with Ms. Walker to implement strategies for a more successful classroom, Dr. Forbes would be placing children really at the center of education and also accepting responsibility. He wouldn't be putting it all on Ms. Walker, he'd be working alongside her and accepting responsibility himself. And lastly, by working directly with Ms. Walker to coach and support her as she implements strategies, he would be providing her moral direction and promoting ethical behavior. So as a future administrator, I think it's important that we are all aware of each decision we make and how it supports or even prevents the success of all students. Doing these case studies is a nice way to problem solve through situations that we may come up with in the future. And I think that'll do it. So there's my references here. I just used the case study, and then I also referenced the professional standards for educational leaders.